Well, I think the most important thing is that you eat the right way and that you get in the amount of protein that your body needs. I always lived off the formula that for every pound of body weight, I want to get 1 gram of protein. The challenge, of course, is that how do you get this 250 grams into the body and have the body take it all in rather than just letting it go through.
Hello and welcome to Ferrigno Freedom Channel. I'm Dante Ferrigno. For those of you returning, welcome back. I wanted to talk to you guys today about a thing that I remember growing up watching, and that was the race between Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger on their way to Mr. Olympia. Back when they did their pumping iron video, I was into that stuff in my late teens. I wanted to be just like Lou, just like Arnold. And I never was able to quite get there. I got my body in pretty decent shape when I was 17 and I was on the wrestling team, but man, was it a struggle. I was always a heavy kid when I was growing up. I was the kid that had to wear the trash bag when I ran around the track so I could sweat more because they were trying to help me get the fat off my body. And no matter what I seemed to eat, it seemed to cause more problems. And one of the things I remember about the diets they used to tell us back then is even though they would tell us to basically avoid the sugars and the junk food, they also told us to eat lots of cheese, and they would tell us to eat fruit and vegetables. And I thought that those were key things. And then I also remember hearing a lot about low fat, low fat, low fat. They were telling us to cut the fat off of the meat. So I remember, for instance, I liked sirloin steaks with my meals because they didn't have as much fat as, say, a ribeye did. And they were cheaper. So I thought, hey, I got this figured out. I'm actually spending less on meat than these other idiots, and I don't have to eat all that awful fat. I had no idea that fat was actually a wonderful thing for us to consume that doesn't do the damage that they used to tell us that it would do. But I wanted to go back and take a look at this video called Golden Era Diet. I'm hungry to be Mr. Olympia, Arnold Schwarzenegger Diet Motivation. This is on a YouTube channel called Kong Motivation. I don't know who that is, but since they put this video together or they put this video out there, I thought I'd take a look at it, and I'll put a link in the description for it so you can check it out by yourself if you'd like to. But I'm willing to bet we're going to hear some things in this video that we who are carnivores have learned are not necessarily the truth. There are some things that are going to be excellent true in here, but there are some things that are only going to be true if you have the right genetics and you're working out 3 hours a day, at least. So let's take a look at it and see, because this is definitely going to get into the kind of stuff I was thinking when I was a teenager about how to be in the best shape of my life. Even when I was on the wrestling team, trying to keep it under 189, so many times I'd go to weigh in for my next wrestling match, and I'm 190, 191. So now I got to wrestle heavyweight against guys that are 275 pounds. When somebody's got an 85-pound weight advantage on you, it's really hard to get them down and pinned on the ground. And I struggled with that. I'll never forget how difficult that was to keep myself under 189. By the way, at age 51, I'm currently 193 pounds, and that's without even doing a lot of exercise. Over the past 3 weeks, I've been doing rucking again, but for the past year, I've really neglected a lot of my exercise, and I found out it's important to get in that even mild exercise of adding the weight that I add when I wear a 40-pound vest and I go out rucking on the road for an hour each morning. It has made a big difference in just 3 weeks. So there's no doubt exercise plays a role, but I never would have got to the place that I'm at now where I'm under 200 pounds on a regular basis without changing to the carnivore way of eating. There's no doubt in my mind I never would have got there. Even when I did Atkins diet, I wasn't able to get under 200 pounds because I was still eating those salads. I was still eating some of the things that are not on a carnivore way of eating that didn't work well with my body. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the video here. There we go.
Am I more hungry to be Mr. Olympia? Or am I more hungry to eat like everyone else out there and therefore look like everyone else? If I would just, have a temporary joy here and eat and cheat, I'm most likely not going to make it.
Most people
True.
are always searching for an easy shortcut. A magic pill that will give them a Mr. Olympia body in just 1 month. But there's no magic to it. It's hard work, day in and day out. Nutrition is the most challenging part because it's a 24/7, year-round commitment.
Yep.
There will never be a magic pill or a miracle drug. If you're overweight, you won't lose that weight without dieting and working out. If you want a great physique, you have to diet.
All right, before we get too far, I want to talk about that word diet and what he said about you never losing weight without diet and exercise. First, let me say, ever since I started eating a carnivore way of eating, and there's a reason why I say way of eating, and we'll get to that in a second, is that I needed to fix this gut problem that I had. My gut hurt so much, and it was causing me mental stress, or it might have been the mental stress causing the gut problem. I don't know which one was the big issue, but it turns out I had leaky gut, which is caused by the lectins in vegetables. And it's exacerbated by the inflammation that comes with eating processed food that is basically most of what's on our store shelves these days. When you walk into a grocery store, almost everything you see in the store is just a food-like product. It's not actually food. It's something that's very similar to food, but it's got so many synthetic ingredients and so many genetically modified organisms and stuff that is just not natural in its natural state. It's been made to be easier to keep on the shelf longer, to be able to cook easier, to be able to cook faster, to be able to just warm up and go. And it's all horrible for your body. Well, starting on a carnivore way of eating for me was about fixing some of the damage that eating all those wrong foods had done. But I lost weight before I started exercising. About 3 months in, I had already lost close to 40 or 50 pounds of fat just changing the way I eat. But then I started to get an energy boost. Like if I didn't do something with this energy, I was going to explode. So I started going out walking, and I started with 30 minutes, and then I started going up to an hour. By the time I was at my highest, I was doing 3 hours of walking in the morning. And I said, you know what? I don't have time for 3 hours of walking or any other exercise for that matter. If I can get this down to an hour, hopefully I'll be doing better. And walking kind of stayed my thing for a little over a year. I still got down to under 200 pounds with just walking and a little bit of resistance exercise, doing some push-ups here, and I was doing air squats without any extra weight. Then I found the ruck vest, or the weighted vest, if you want to call it that. It's 20 pounds on the front, 20 pounds in the back, so I'm carrying an extra 40 pounds on my body. And I'll tell you, when I first started, I wasn't using the whole 40 pounds. I started off with, I think, 16 pounds, and then I added a couple of more 4-pound bags, and then I added a couple more until I got all the way up to 40 pounds. But when I would have it at 40 pounds, you could feel the muscles in your hips and in your legs and in your thighs and in your waist even having to adjust to the movement of walking. And if you're keeping a good pace when you're walking, I get 3 miles out in less than an hour, and I'm carrying this extra 40 pounds, and it is just a real muscle workout for your core section. So it started to make me stronger, and that actually brought my weight level up, but my fat level down. So there's no doubt that exercise is a part of cutting the fat down to not necessarily bodybuilding levels, but being down to an athletic body. You're going to have to do some exercise. But I lost at least 80% of my weight with diet alone. And if it wasn't for the diet, I wouldn't have had the energy to eat. Now, speaking of the word diet, diet doesn't mean what we think of when we think of the word diet. Diet just means what a creature eats. Diet doesn't mean fad diet necessarily. Some of the things that they may talk about him eating are going to involve products. And when you start getting into diets that involve products, you're talking about a fad diet, because that's not the natural human diet. When you talk about a carnivore diet, or even the lion diet, which is a very strict version of carnivore diet, you're talking about getting back to the natural diet that humans were meant to have. Can we eat vegetables? Can we eat grains? Absolutely we can. But they're survival food ultimately. They're for situations where you can't afford to get meat. Maybe you don't have your own herd of animals. Maybe you don't have any hunting skills. That's what vegetables were for. That's what grains were for. And otherwise, grains and vegetables were for feeding the animals so that we could eat the animals and be in the best shape we could be in. And the more I study the history of man, the more I see that's the case. Even when I study the Bible, I see over and over that meat is definitely a great thing for people to be eating. And I have other discussions about that in other videos. I don't want to get too far off a track here. I just wanted to say that the word diet is very misused. But when I use the word diet, I'm talking about a change in the way you eat back to a natural diet, not a fad diet like Jenny Craig or any of the other diets that you might hear referred to as a diet, because they're not natural. They require some other product, something that's not natural, to be a part of the plan. And that's where the problem comes in.
Been that way. And nothing's changed since the 70s. Even Arnold did it.
Well, I think the most important thing is that you eat the right way and that you get in the amount of protein that your body needs. I always lived off the formula that for every pound of body weight, I want to get 1 gram of protein. The challenge, of course, is that how do you get this 250 grams into the body and have the body take it all in rather than just letting it go through.
I don't really follow macros all that closely, but I can say that I eat about 500 grams of meat every day, and that includes the fat. So maybe I am getting less than 500 grams of overall meat, but I'm eating that much in only meat with the fat that's on it. So it's going to be in that same range that he's talking about. I'm getting at least 250. I can guarantee you that. It's got to be more than that, though. And I'm doing great. When I want to put on muscle, I can put on muscle very quickly on this way of eating.
I felt like that for me, it worked best when I had 5 meals a day. There's some people that can work with 3 meals. For me, 5 meals was the answer. And the reason is because I never was a big eater. I always felt comfortable with a regular sized steak. If you give me a 10-ounce steak, even in my heyday, I was happy. And to have a little bit of vegetables, so to have some sliced tomatoes on it and then some salad or something like that, I'm fine.
Early in his career, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't the leanest bodybuilder. In fact, he looked more like a powerlifter with his bulky appearance. When he first came to America, other bodybuilders nicknamed him Smooth due to his higher body fat percentage. However, what he lacked in conditioning, he made up for in mass.
See, I wouldn't mind having that smooth look that he had, because he had plenty of muscle. I don't need to be that trim in body fat, although it's nice to be able to see 6-pack abs and all that stuff. That's not a big deal to me. What I would like to get rid of is any love handles that I have. But in just the 3 weeks that I've been rucking again, where I'm doing that regularly, I've noticed a tremendous drop in the love handle area. So it doesn't necessarily take a Mr. Olympia training type exercise to get the fat off that you want to get off, unless you were training to be Mr. Olympia. But anyway, I digress.
At just 18 to 19 years old, he was outsizing seasoned competitors 10 to 15 years older than him. In this video, we'll cover Arnold's secret mass gain diet, which he rarely spoke about publicly. This diet totaled over 5,000 calories with around 300 grams of protein per day. At 7:30 a.m., Arnold's first meal included 3 whole eggs, 4 to 8 ounces of beef, 2 pieces of buttered toast, and 2 glasses of whole milk.
In the morning, if you gave me just 3 scrambled eggs with a little bit of bacon and or sausage with some cut in tomatoes and onions, I was fine with that. The only thing is that 2 hours later, after that breakfast, I was hungry.
At 10, his mid-morning snack consisted of half a meat sandwich, 1 hard-boiled egg, and 1 glass of whole milk. As you can see, in Arnold's diet, milk and dairy were staples. Supplements were also big during the golden era, and Arnold had 2 protein shakes a day.
I would have 2 times a day protein drinks. Wherever I was, I would pull out of my bag a little plastic container that had a cup on it that you usually use at the bar to mix things at the bar. And I would have my milk in there, and I would have my protein powder in there and everything like this, and I would just close it up and then put it in my bag. And then I would be sitting in the classroom, and I would just pull it out, shake it up like that. Everyone would be looking kind of, what the hell is he doing now? And I would be shaking my protein, then, just like a bartender doing all the little tricks, And then I would drink it, close it up, and put it away.
Back in the 60s and 70s, bodybuilders used high-volume, high-frequency training to build muscle. These intense workouts could last 3 to 4 hours, so they needed high-calorie, high-protein diets to recover.
Going to the gym, and then we'll be working out for 2.5 hours, and then we will go for lunch, and there will be a late lunch, and then we'll have again a regular steak, and then 2 hours later after that, I will have another one of those protein drinks.
During the off-season, to gain muscles, at 12:30 p.m., Arnold ate 1 whole meat sandwich, 1 cheese sandwich, 2 glasses of whole milk, and some fruit. Most things are basic, whether it was back in the 70s or now. It all comes down to calories in and calories out.
Oh.
Just look at how Arnold ate. He kept it simple, so keep it basic.
I have a rough time with that being all about calories in and calories out. I think calories play a role, but it's not the same role that we would just hold by him as it comes down to calories in, calories out. Because you could do calories in and eat Oreos the entire time and just not eat enough of them, and you're still not going to look that way. I guarantee you, no matter how many late weights you lift or miles you run, if you're living on Oreos, you're going to have body problems unless you've just got super genetics, which some people do, especially in their youth, where they're able to eat high-powered garbage like that and still have cut bodies without doing exercise. I grew up with a very good friend like that. He never exercised, but he ate high-octane garbage all the time. It didn't catch up to him until he was in his 40s, but it catches up with you if you're going to keep doing that all your life. I was exercising heavy when I was in my late teens, and I still was also trying to eat the right foods. I was eating all the things he's talking about here. I was using protein shakes with my workout. I was hitting the gym for 2 to 3 hours a day. I might not have been doing as heavy a weight as they were doing or as often, but I remember being in there for hours at a time. But then it came down to the fact that I'm working a full-time job where I was working part-time and going to school. It was like, when do I have time for this much time in the gym? I mean, I got a regular life to live. If I was able to do this professionally and bodybuild for a living and maybe win prize money or something like that, it would have been a whole different story. But most of us are just trying to keep the body that will keep us healthy to power us through our daily living. So I'm not at all comparing myself to Arnold Schwarzenegger in any way. I am talking about how this diet information gave me back then when I wanted to do something like bodybuilding or be at my peak performance, that when I followed it, I constantly struggled to keep that extra fat off of my body no matter what I did. My genetics were probably not the genetics that he had that make it easier to get that extra fat off while eating cheese, while drinking milk, while eating bread. I was writing down all the things that he was talking about. He was talking about eating steaks and then a little bit of veggies and salad and then 3 whole eggs and several ounces of meat. That's basically carnivore right there. When you start adding in veggies and salad, you're talking about keto, basically. There's some people that just don't do well with dairy, period. If you're including dairy in your diet, if you're not seeing any benefits or your benefits are minimal, dairy might be a problem for you. I would say that the things I've studied is about 70% of people have a difficult time with dairy, because dairy is really made for a creature to get from being a baby to being a mature creature, whatever it might be, whether it's a baby cow or a baby human. Dairy is a big part of getting out of being an infant to being a more mature animal. And then they start eating whatever their bodies are made to eat. In the case with a cow, it can start eating grass on a regular basis. It doesn't need milk anymore. You don't see a full-grown cow going around sucking on another cow's udder to get more milk because it's eating what it's meant to eat as an adult. I don't think dairy is something we need as adults. It's just something we can get extra calories from. And if you are doing a lot of heavy lifting, maybe you can burn off those extra calories while you're doing that. But I don't think that that's going to be the case for everyone. Protein shakes are great, but I get plenty of protein from meat. And when he talked about only eating a 10-ounce steak, I'd still be hungry after a 10-ounce steak. I need something that's going to give me all the energy I need basically for the day, if I can, for one meal. Sometimes I do 2 meals, but many a days I only eat 1 meal. And my average, no matter where there's 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day, is around 2 pounds of whatever that meat is in its uncooked form. It's about 2 pounds of it is what I eat. On Lion Diet, I eat a lot of lamb. I eat a lot of deer meat, but even more than anything, I eat a lot of beef. I'd say 90% or more of my diet is beef. Lately, I've been getting more lamb, though, again, because lamb has come down in price, so I've really enjoyed having some lamb. And that, combined with 3 miles a day rucking, and I'm feeling like I did at my peak when I was down to 176, when I was working at UPS and slinging boxes every night, all night long, basically doing an 8 or 9 or a 10-hour workout throughout the night. I'm approaching that shape again. Right now I'm 193, but I was pushing around 200 for a while when I wasn't exercising like I am now, getting up 6 days a week and going for that 3 miles in the morning with that extra 40 pounds on. And in just that 1 week, I've lost close to 10 pounds of fat and put on some muscle. So it makes a difference being able to cut out the things that don't work for your body and don't work for your goals. A lot of times people will ask me, can I have this or can I have that on the diet? Most of the time when it comes to adding certain things, it depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to be Mr. Olympia, you can probably add a lot of things if you're working out as hard as they are. But if you're not working out as hard as they are, there's some things you're not going to be able to add.
But remember this, it's about hard work. There's no special routine or special diet. Even Arnold ate protein and carbs. There's no shortcut to avoid the hard work. And after eating lunch, at 3 p.m., his mid-afternoon snack was 1 hard-boiled egg, 3 slices of cheese, and 2 glasses of whole milk.
There is no way to get around the hard work. If you want your physique to be the best that you can be without being even a beast like that, you're going to have to put in some work. There's no doubt about that. But if you just want to get the fat off, diet can play a huge role in that area. I think it's 80% of the way there, and then the extra 20% is getting the exercise. If you want to really trim down and start to see those abs and start to have the muscles that you would like to have, you're going to have to put a little bit of effort into that. I would also be interested to see the type of cheese that he ate, see the type of vegetables that he ate, because back in the late 70s and the 80s, we didn't get year-round apples. We didn't have year-round tomatoes. We had seasonal fruits and vegetables. These days, we're eating stuff that has been crossbred and genetically modified to be available all the time, to be available on the shelves all the time, to be available in transportation for longer periods of time, and the food is not the same food that it was back then. So I think that plays a big role in the vegetables area. Cheeses have been changed. They're processed now. They're using enzymes to make them turn into cheese quicker as opposed to aging them for 2 or 3 years. I find that when I have a nice aged cheese, I don't have as much issue. But if I eat some of that processed garbage, it's basically like eating rubber. It's not even cheese anymore. And I'm betting he didn't have a lot of that. I'm pretty sure he wasn't eating Velveeta or Cheese Whiz as part of his excellent diet. He was getting good hard cheeses, I'm betting.
At 6 p.m., dinner included 8 to 12 ounces of ground beef, a baked potato with butter, a salad, and 2 glasses of whole milk. At 9 p.m., Arnold's nighttime snack was a homemade high-protein shake consisting of 2 glasses of whole milk, half a cup of non-fat milk, 1 whole egg, and half a cup of ice cream. So, this is how Arnold ate over the years, consistently refining his diet to build his classic Mr. Olympia physique. He did go overboard in the beginning with a 5,000 calorie per day diet plan. What's tough about bodybuilding is that it sticks with you even after you leave the gym. It's not just the training. You can't forget about it when you go home. You have to eat the right things at the right times, like every 2 or 3 hours. You need to get the right nutrition constantly. It's like a strict regime you have to follow all the time.
That someone else is gonna walk right by me and someone else is gonna grab that title. Because many times these competitions were very, very close. And I remember especially in 1980 where it was just 2 points. And any mistake could have cost me the title. So this is not a mistake that I want to make. I want to be responsible, that I do everything that I can to be a winner.
In the 70s, golden era bodybuilders didn't have the advanced technology to build muscles that we have today. They lacked the high-tech exercise machines, theories, and the wide range of supplements and drugs that modern bodybuilders use.
In my days, we were not as sophisticated when it comes to dieting, and we didn't have the food supplements that are available today with getting definition and cutting down and all those things. We had food supplements that were really good for gaining weight, but we didn't really have much available to lose weight. So to me, my way of really getting defined and getting kind of a really mature definition, rather than just dropping quickly 10 pounds or 15 pounds with a watermelon diet or something like that. So that's not the right way to go. So I always felt like if I with a watermelon diet, a really mature definition, rather than just drop. We had food supplements that were really good for gaining weight, but we didn't really have much available to lose weight. So to me, my way of really getting defined and getting kind of a really mature definition, rather than just dropping quickly 10 pounds or 15 pounds with a watermelon diet or something like that. So that's not the right way to go. So I always felt like if I do instead of 20 sets, 30 sets, 35 sets of body part. So I went all out, especially before competition when I wanted to cut down. It was to pile on as many sets as possible. So yes, you were tired, but so what? I never felt sorry for myself. Let me tell you that it all paid off.
Arnold had incredible genetics, but he still followed a strict diet. If you want to become your best version, stay committed to your diet and make sure to stick to it every day.
Well, there's no doubt about stick to it every day if you want to be able to be changed by a diet. And if your goal is to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Lou Ferrigno, then yeah, you're going to have to hit the gym just like they did. You're going to have to do those things. And maybe the protein shakes and all the extra carbohydrates you're eating aren't going to affect you as much because you're pounding it out. But most of us don't have time to do that. Most of us don't have the goal to be what they were seeking to be. So more power to them. If that's what they want to do, then that's fine. I'm happy just being in the best shape of my life, even at age 51, where I feel like I'm in better shape than I was when I was 17. I have less pain. I have less difficulties getting fat off. I have an easier time putting muscle on now than I did as a teenager. And that just blows my mind. And I was only able to realize that when I started eating a carnivore way of eating. And in my case, the Lion diet has been good for other body healing that I had to do from years of ultra-processed food and the other things that were in the standard American diet. And it can change things for you too. As a matter of fact, if you want to learn more about my way of eating or anything else about the diet that I've been doing, or you want to be able to find videos that I have on specific things, you can go to my website, ferrignofreedom.com, and you can see not only my information on my story there, but I've got an area where you can see all the different videos that are on YouTube in the order that they came out so that you can go back to the beginning and scroll through them. It's kind of hard to do that on YouTube. They've made it a little easier recently, but anyway, there's also an option on the website where you can submit your story to me if you're interested in being in a carnivore conversation where you and I can talk face to face on a video conference call and talk about what carnivore carnivore way of eating has done for you. There's an option if you need to be able to get some coaching from me on what you're maybe doing wrong, because even as simple as I've made this diet and all of my discussions, I still find people don't know exactly what to do, or maybe they're justifying some things that they don't need to be justifying, or they're not thinking of eating enough of something. And if you just feel like you need to get some FaceTime with me about what you want to do with your way of eating, there's an option for that in the coaching section. And then there's also a place on my website where I talk about all the different cooking utensils I use. I use an air fryer. I have several different air fryers that I have showcased on my website that I've used over the years. Some are good for some people, some are good for other people. I'm even trying out a new one now that I'll be talking about soon, just to see if that's not a good option for people. It doesn't seem like there's a one size fits all for when it comes to my air fryers, but I like all of the ones that I've used over the years, and they're all available there. I also list the supplements that I take, but again, you can see all of that at ferrignofreedom.com, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining me.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?